If someone has never read any of your books before, what would be your description of why you think they would like them?
Well, my books that I'm best known for are Codename Verity and Rose Under Fire, and they're about women who are doing extraordinary things during World War II. Spies and pilots, and in roles that young women don't usually have, and it's kind of all true. It's all based on things that people really did. So if you like spies and pilots thrillers.
Did you have to do a lot of research?
I did have to do a lot of research, but there was actually a lot of stuff that I already knew that was kind of influencing me. So I had just got a pilot's license, and I had become interested in women in aviation, and it all sort of spun on from that.
Do you do a lot of flying then with your license?
I don't do a lot of flying. I do a little bit of flying. I'm really a very fair weather pilot, and I have sort of the lowest of the low license. I have a lot more to learn.
Is it something you're going to keep pursuing, or is it just a hobby?
Oh, it's just a hobby. I mean, I don't intend to make a career of it, but I do have goals. I do have things I'd really kind of like to do. So I'd like to learn to fly a seaplane. I'd quite like to join the Civil Air Patrol, things like that. I would like to be able to do.
Is it something you were interested in before your book, or is it something that you've learned after?
Yeah, no, well, definitely before the book, because the book came about as a result of being interested in flying. But I was interested in women in aviation and in like early aircraft before I learned to fly. So that's, one of the things that spurred me on to learn to fly.
What would you say is a message that you hope fans take away from you or your books?
From my books, I really would like them to take away the message that, be yourself, and you can go out and pursue things that maybe people aren't really pushing you in the direction of pursuing. And, the same is true for boys as for girls, but certainly there are, in the UK where I live, there are 5% of the commercial pilots are women, so it's a really, really low number. And, there's no reason for it. It's not an industry where there's a lot of prejudice against women. You can do it. I think people just don't think of doing it.
Did you always know you wanted to be a writer, or did you think about being a pilot?
No, I never thought about being a pilot. I came to that late in life. I kind of wish I'd started sooner. But I always wanted to be a writer. And from the very first time I read a Beverly Cleary book from cover to cover. Yeah, and I closed the book and I was 7 years old, and I was like, okay, I want to write books just like this. And I don't really write books just like Beverly Cleary.
Yeah. What is the process like for you? Do you come up with the character, the ending?
Really, the character kind of seizes hold of me and drives the story. I come up with the character. I have an idea of where I want the story to go and how they're going to get there, and then I kind of fill in around the edges.
If you could live in your book, would you be one of the pilots?
I probably would. I hope I would. One of the real women who did this, ferrying and transport work that the women in my books do for the Air Force. One of the real ones did learn to fly when she was the same age I was when I learned to fly, which was like 39. A bit long in the tooth for a new career, but never too late. And so I like to think that they would have taken me.
What's something surprising you learned about flying and your training and your research?
One of the things, and I actually used this in my second flying book, Rose Under Fire. One of the things that they teach you about is what you have to do if you're intercepted. So if someone comes and says, right, now we're in charge, you have to follow us. I cannot imagine as a pilot anything more terrifying than a military aircraft flying up alongside you, waving its wings and saying, okay, we're escorting you somewhere. And I did actually use that in my second book.
Is there anything we can look forward to that you can tell us about?
I am writing a novel which is supposed to be a straightforward mystery. It's set in Scotland, and it doesn't have planes in it. And it's set in the 1930s. It's before the war, so it's kind of more fun for me than some of the more serious stuff that I'm known for.